Welcome to Coffee and Conversation for ESL Listening. I'm Donielle.
And I'm Khrystyna, so grab a cup and join a conversation.
Hello, it's so nice to see you again. I should not sing, that's terrible.
It is nice to see you.
Nobody wants to hear that. Goodness. But yes, it is nice to see your smiling face. Nobody else can see your smiling face, but trust me, she's smiling.
How have you been?
No. Just going.
You sound a little bit stressed out to me.
Funny you should mention it. Because that's our topic for today. Yes. It's a good topic. I mean, I think we all get stressed sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't matter where you at and what you do. I feel like everybody at some point in time will get a little stressed out.
Yeah. And it's part of living, right? If you're not stressed, you're either really lucky or you're not with us anymore. I don't know.
I wonder if there's anybody in the world, if they ever done some sort of a study that they found a person who was never stressed out. I don't know. It's possible.
I don't think so. I think just the very act of living, there's something. Even if, let's say, you have all the money in the world, you don't have to worry about work. Then you got people trying to maybe get your money or who knows.
Because I even see it. You don't even have to be adult to be stressing out.
Yeah.
I see my 11-year-old stresses out every morning because he has to go to school.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? I remember being 11, okay, and thinking, I was very stressed out about a lot of things too. And thinking that certain things were just like so major and, it's so drastic and crisis. When I look back with my adult brain and I'm like, come on.
No. That's why every time that he complains about something that he's stressed. But he doesn't just say, I'm stressed. He goes, I am depressed.
Oh.
And there's a difference, obviously, between being stressed and being depressed or have a depression. But he's always, I am just depressed. I have a test. I have a quiz today, so I am depressed. I'm like, oh, okay. There, honey. There. You'll be okay.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
Yeah. My child is very dramatic.
Well, at that age, they are dramatic. It's true. Like I said, I remember being that age and the most ridiculous things would just be like, oh my gosh, the earth is falling apart. The world is shattering and it's nothing.
The end is near.
Yeah, really. So anyway, well, let's start off talking a little bit about there's a lot of different things that cause stress. What are some things that cause you personally some stress? I mean, it could be work, it could be home life, it could be anything.
Work, definitely. I feel like uncertainty when I don't know what's coming, what's going to happen, that causes me stress. So I like to kind of know, I like to plan. But what causes me stress? When somebody's sick in the house, when my kiddo is sick or my husband sometimes gets sick, it really stresses me out because I feel like I have no control over it, right? I can't do anything.
When you started to say about uncertainty, the word that came into my mind was control. It's like a feeling like you can't control something.
Right.
So yeah, I get it.
Well, because, you think when you don't stress out about things because you know what's coming next, right? You know what you have to do. You know how things will work out. And when you don't know or things don't go the way you think they should, I think that's stress is coming in because that control, right? It's out of your control. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So, but what about you? What stresses you out?
Well, currently, since I don't have the kind of job that you do anymore, My work doesn't really stress me out, because it's just me, myself, and I over here and talking to some nice students around the world, and that's fun. So I really don't have anything to complain about there. Um, but yeah, I would say news.
Oh, that yeah, I absolutely agree. Right now, I think anytime you see news, it's just additional stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's like you can't control, you're not really able to predict what's going to happen. And yeah, it can feel very stressful for sure.
Well, when I asked you what stresses you out, I thought you were going to say your husband, but
Oh, well.
just kidding.
No, I mean, of course that happens too, right? When you're married, you can stress each other. I'm sure I stress him out too.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
You know.
absolutely. I think it goes both ways.
Yeah. Yeah,
Both ways.
absolutely. But yeah, so of course there's that, and then there's just in general family
Mhm,
situations,
mhm.
like you say, if someone is sick or you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Yeah, it can be very stressful.
Yeah, I was just gonna say because my family is so far away, like I worry about them, right? So that kind of
Sure.
stresses me out. Or if something happens and I can't do anything about it because I am far away, that stresses me out. And,
Yeah.
you know, or sometimes it's just dealing with people. You just never know. And people can be nice or people can stress you out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely get stressed out by people who are just mean or rude for no
Yes.
reason.
Yes. I
And
sometimes think about like people who work in customer service or like call centers, right? Or like insurance call center. Or can you imagine the amount of stress they go through every single day? Because I am sure they're not always dealing with the nicest people. Because, I mean, who calls those people who need to complain? So I just, yeah, it's hard. It would be really tough.
oh yeah. Well, many, many years ago I worked in an office. Was uh it was insurance, but not the same kind of thing because it was through the university.
Mhm.
But still, there were so many really rude people and for no reason. And here I am just trying to make my couple little tiny dollars an hour. I was like just out of school really, and I was just trying to get through things and get through my life, and they'll just be nasty for no reason, and that is very stressful. And I always think about, like, could you imagine being a person who works at, say, for example, the lost baggage department at an airport or something? Someone who gets only frantic people or something. It would be awful.
That would be horrible. I don't know how I feel bad for those workers there or employees. That would be just horrible job to have.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
horrible.
Or like a 911 dispatcher or something, always dealing with life-threatening situations. So, yeah, I'm very fortunate and happy to not be involved in that.
Yeah, that would be tough. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
No, you have to have a certain personality for that, which I do not have.
Or even like, being a healthcare professional, a doctor, a nurse, or
Right.
like the EMT. That would be tough too. That's extremely stressful and just so fast and a lot of pressure and everything. I don't think I can do that. But I wonder what jobs are the least stressful. Like,
Well, that's a good question. Somebody must have done some kind of a survey about the professions that are, you ranked them from most to least stressful.
I
Maybe you can find some out right now. I don't know. But meanwhile, I thought I would talk a little bit about, how do we physically feel when we're stressed out? And I'll start.
Mm.
I feel like if I'm really, really stressed out, I feel like my chest gets really tight. And I find myself needing to take a big, deep breath and just let it in and let it out. And it kind of eases the stress a little bit.
I can relate to that too. I feel like sometimes I get a headache when I'm stressed out, kind of like a pressure in my head that, you're trying to figure stuff out, or sudden tiredness, right? Sometimes I feel like when I'm really stressed out, and then I've noticed that, and there's a good expression, when you feel like you hit the wall.
Okay.
Well, I feel like it happens to me at least a couple times a year, when you're just so stressed out and you just have so much going on that you physically just feel exhausted and fatigued, and you just feel like you hit the wall.
Yeah.
You can't seem to figure anything out anymore. So I feel like there is definitely a physical side to stress. It's not just, your emotional or mental. Like I feel like there are physical symptoms when you become stressed out.
And you're right about that being tired too. I've been in a situation where I got really super stressed out, and my reaction is to just be like, oh my gosh, I can't even stay awake. I need to take a nap.
Right, right. Yeah.
But then there's the other side of that. Sometimes when you get so stressed out, you can't sleep, because your mind is just going and going.
Right. And they say that's one of this, like a side effects or signs of being stressed out. You lose your sleep. You can't sleep. That's the worst part. I don't know if that ever happens to you, but I've kind of been experiencing that. When you wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you just can't go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And so that happened to me recently on the weekend. It was Saturday night. And I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and could not go back to sleep. Tossed and turned and tried to do this and that and tried to count sheep.
Well, I don't know if this is a universal concept of counting sheep. Is it? I
Yeah,
don't know.
we count animals. We count sheep or
Okay.
count
Yeah.
elephants. Sometimes I remember when I was little, we had to count elephants.
Count elephants. Oh, that's adorable.
So I've tried everything, right? I tried to read my book. And then finally I was like, I'm just done. I can't sleep. I'm going to go downstairs, maybe sit on the couch, keep reading my book or watch TV or something, right? Because I just can't go back to sleep. So I went downstairs, sat on the couch with my blanket, was reading my book, and I kind of started dozing off. I'm using a lot of vocabulary words.
Yeah. I was just thinking that.
And guess what? My dearly beloved dog comes into my room with her squeaky toy and
Oh,
starts running around with that squeaky toy up and down the hallway into the room. I have her crate, like a big metal crate here in this room. Then she decides to go in the crate and try to make sure that the door works. So it's this clink, clink, clink all the time. Then she starts barking. Then she comes in, looks at me, starts whining, and leaves the room. And I'm like, well, I guess she has to go out now. So there was no way for me to go back to sleep at that point. It's always the worst feeling when you wake up in the middle of the night or when you wake up half an hour before your alarm goes off.
oh, that's just maddening.
Yes, can't go back to sleep. And you're right. You cannot turn off your brain, right? You can't seem to shut it down. It just keeps spinning and all these different things you start thinking about. And they're not even important things you think about. What I'm going to cook for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And I think maybe it is because of stress, right? Your mind keeps going and trying to figure stuff out. And it's just one of those things. So, but
I listen to podcasts to try to go to sleep because otherwise, I just can't. But even that started to not work for me recently because, again, my brain was just going. And I'm listening to this podcast that is kind of funny because it doesn't seem like it would be relaxing because it's true crime,
I was just going to say, is it a true crime podcast?
It is. It is. And normally it just lulls me right to sleep. But it's so ridiculous. But it's in Spanish. And so I have to really kind of concentrate for a little bit. And I think maybe part of that is why it tires me out because I have to really kind of use my brain. But nowadays I feel like I just can't even concentrate enough to even know what they're talking about anymore.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I've got to find something else, something like meditative kind of thing. And have you heard of this ASMR?
ASMR.
Don't ask me what it stands for because it's autonomous sensory meridian response is what it stands for. Doesn't make any sense, but yeah. So basically, what it is there's a very small percentage of the population, well, like 15 to 20%, they say, that will have this thing that they will kind of focus on little sounds like tapping or crumpling paper or maybe whispers or something like that. And you get like this meditative state kind of. And sometimes you feel like little tingly on the back of your neck, or you're looking at me like I'm crazy, but it's a real thing.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. And it has happened to me. I didn't know it had a name at all. And I was like, oh, that's really weird. So I started thinking, well, maybe I could try that to go to sleep. So I found a podcast that has that as well. And yeah, it's really
Does it work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, because I noticed that sometimes my husband, when he is struggling fall asleep, he will have just like white noise, right? Like a background, some sort of a.
Yeah. I guess it's the same kind of
Yeah.
concept.
I wonder.
Yeah.
And they do that for babies
Yeah.
when they can't fall asleep. I remember we did it with our son, and I've heard from other parents, other people doing that. They will have like a little white noise machine. Well, not anymore. Right now, you can just turn on whatever on your phone.
Yeah.
But you would just turn it on in the room, and it helps them fall asleep too.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. But this is a little bit different just because it's the kinds of sounds that it is. But yeah, you almost feel like you're in a little bit of a trance.
Wow.
And in case I need to explain that a little bit, it's like you're so in deep concentration or focus that you kind of, everything around you kind of blurs. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's been my new thing.
Well, they do say that one of the ways, which we probably will start talking soon about how to, deal with stress and all that. One of the ways to help to deal with stress is meditation.
Yeah.
I say it's a big, like huge help. It's pretty popular. People try to meditate to get through that.
Have you tried that before?
Meditation?
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily try meditation. I tried mindfulness, like practicing mindfulness, which is very similar. It's a little bit different concept. I think mindfulness is more of kind of like when you're listening to somebody talk to you, you try to put yourself in a certain place.
Mm-hmm.
But you also, like when I did mindfulness, it was interesting because eventually as you're going through it, you can almost smell and taste things
Oh,
while
weird.
yes, yeah, I was like, wow, what? What was that? One time, it was a kind of like a workshop meditation about mindfulness, right? And the person who led it, and one of the things they were telling us to kind of go into this place, and then there's a lemon tree, and and have you heard of
Okay.
it? Yeah.
Well, because it sounds like guided meditation, and I was going to tell you about my experience. So
Right.
yeah,
So I
it's
think there
similar.
might be like
Yeah.
similarity there. But you close your eyes and you try to imagine yourself there. And it was interesting. By the end of this mindfulness activity, I could smell lemons. I could almost taste the sour lemon. I was like, oh, wow. Well, this is pretty cool.
That is. Well, I think it was more successful for you because, yeah, and I kind of chalk it up to maybe just my brain just doesn't work this way, but I just could not get myself in that place mentally. I couldn't put myself there. And as they're telling me, oh, you walk down this path and then you stop, and on the left, you look and you see there's a this and a that. And I really tried to envision it, to picture it, and I just couldn't do it.
You know, they say, and I'm not saying that you're not a creative person, you are. But they
No.
say that people who are kind of like artistic or more creative, they have an easier way of
That's
experiencing these things.
that's honestly what I would have thought.
Which I don't consider myself super artistic or creative. But,
You are. Come on, stop it. Come on.
I can draw a stick figure.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But anyway, it's interesting. So, but the thing is, getting back to stress and all of that and talking about ways of managing it, because everybody is different, everybody can find maybe different ways that work for them. It's not a one size fits all kind of thing,
That's true. We kind of had a good example here because, obviously mindfulness worked better for me, but then the
Yeah.
MASR, right? Is that what it is?
ASMR.
ASMR.
Yeah. I think if you were to listen to it, you'd be like, what is wrong with her? This is weird. Because it is a
No, but
little
it
bit
makes
weird.
sense because it's that repetitive noise. I would say it's kind of similar to meditation too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
probably.
but what are some other ways that either you cope with stress or maybe you've known people cope with stress?
Well,
I think there's one walking right in front of you, actually.
That's exactly why I'm laughing. She's so funny. This is my cat. Um, I wonder if the recording will pick up on her purring because she's literally purring right into the microphone. So we'll see what happens.
Oh,
So you'll
she's
get a
so
little
cute.
built-in stress relief when you guys hear this.
Yeah. So a lot of people say that pets help them
Yeah,
cope with
yeah,
stress and get through tough times, or some people even said
absolutely.
that pets help them get out of depression.
Oh, that 100%. I believe that.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah. I remember when COVID started, I had my dear cat Mina,
Yeah.
and she passed away right at the very beginning of COVID and about ready to get into lockdown over here. And I had no cat. And I thought, I'm going to lose my mind over here if I don't have a pet, if I don't have a cat.
Right.
So I had to quick get one.
Yeah, and it's interesting how much, pets affect our lives.
Yeah.
We had a dog and she passed away around COVID, kind of. Yeah. And I remember I guess she got us through COVID, so maybe like a year or two after.
Yeah.
But you know, we managed to be without her for a year or so, and then it's like, no, we got to get another dog.
Oh, yeah. I
Whatever.
couldn't have lasted a year. No way. I mean, a month was pushing it.
Well, I think my husband just was really, um, it really affected him. Like she was his dog.
Oh,
He was the favorite person for her, and I think he just really took it more difficult than the rest of us, I guess.
yeah. Well, that's another thing that causes stress too. Loss of a pet. Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And, yeah. And grief.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's another one. I completely forgot about that, but yeah, that's another big stressful
Yeah.
thing.
Definitely.
Um, but so one of the things people say that helps you deal with stress, which is a little stretch for us, exercising
I
and
knew you were
physical
going to say that
activity.
because you
Now,
were laughing.
I might not be the right person to talk about it, but
But you know what, though? I'm going to say, as much as I don't like exercising, I kind of find it boring to some extent. It really is true, especially if you can get outside, get some fresh air,
yes,
really is helpful.
yes. And I noticed that one of the ways it helps me to deal with stress is walking, like long walks
Yeah.
outside. Absolutely, when it's nicer out and the weather is warmer, and I just love nature. I am a plants
Yeah.
and trees person. So
Yep.
just going outside, being, in the nature and, seeing trees and listening to birds and all that stuff and walking. Just for some reason,
Yeah.
walking just makes it easier, makes it more calm. And I don't know, helps you see things differently.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm a big fan of walking and getting fresh air, sunshine. It's just,
Right.
got to do
But
what you got to do.
I just don't think going to the gym and working out would help me with stress because I feel like just thinking about it makes me stressed out.
I know, right? I mean, I hate going to the gym. I don't like it. And I'm very particular about the kind of exercises that I do because I also get bored really easily.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've got this little routine that I'm on now. I watch these videos on YouTube and they're really great because you don't do anything for an excessive period of time. So, you can do it for like a minute, you switch to something else, and there are different lengths of videos. Some are even 5 minutes, some are 20 minutes, some are 10 minutes, and I can just do something and not make myself so bored.
That's true.
Yeah.
True.
Well, I'll tell you another thing that really helps me is if I'm really stressed out about something, I need to watch a good comedy. Yes. Laughter really can be good medicine, as they say. It's
Yeah.
the best medicine.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. Another thing that I feel like, and I don't know if I do it intentionally to like alleviate the stress, but listening to music,
Oh, yeah.
just I feel like it's a routine for me now. Every time like I drive to work or run errands or something, like just listening to music, I feel like it kind of uplifts you and makes you relaxed. And
It does. But I can take that a little further. I think if you not only listen to music, but yes, dance. I think if you put on a real banger song that you really love and you get up and start dancing, moving your body around, you just can't help but feel a little bit better.
I have a coworker who we all know when she's in a good mood and, feels good, or whenever she's stressed out, because when she's in a good mood, she will walk around and sing and dance. But when she's stressed out, she eats chocolate and peanut butter. So when we see her opening up peanut butter or a bag of peanuts, we're like, oh, gotta stay away.
Yeah, tell her to do the singing and dancing when she's stressed because she'll probably feel better. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
So, the other thing I was going to say, certain foods or drinks can affect your level of stress. And so I thought I would share with you some good news and some bad news
Oh, no.
along those lines. Which would you prefer to hear first?
Well, let's go with bad news. Get that out of the way.
They say something you should not really have because it does not help your stress at all is,
Sugar.
yeah, that too, but coffee.
No, 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 no. No, that's not true. I'm not going to believe that. It's not
Me
true.
either. Fake news. Fake
Fake
news.
news. Alternative facts. No. Coffee has so many benefits. Every time I see a new study coming out, there's so many benefits to coffee. So I refuse to believe that it causes stress.
And again, it could be a personal thing too, because coffee makes me happy. So,
Yes, and sometimes it's that comforting thing.
yeah,
And you're just kind of tired and stressed out and all that. I was like, you know what? I think I just want to sit down and have my cup of coffee and I will feel
yes.
better.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So, yeah, I think everything is relative,
yeah. Whoever said the coffee stresses you out, they're not correct. No.
Yeah.
No. No.
Like I said, fake news. That's not true.
What else causes stress? I feel like sugar.
Yes, sugar was one. And the thing is, your body can really be working against you sometimes because sometimes it craves the very thing that is not good for you. So let's say you're stressed. What do you want to do? You want to eat ice cream, you want to eat,
Chocolate.
candy and stuff like that. But of course, it's just not doing you any favors.
Right, right.
So, but along those lines though, they do say that dark chocolate is good. Probably not in excessive quantities, but like a piece of dark chocolate will help.
It depends how stressed out you are, then you will know what the quantity you need.
Am I a little stressed out? Do I need one piece or am I super stressed and I need a whole chocolate bar?
I think I read somewhere that fruits helps with the stress too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Any specific fruit or just in general?
Just say fruits make you happy.
Okay.
But I mean, fruit sounds good. Chocolate sounds good. Man, I'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I saw was about, you mentioned tea, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Herbal tea, fermented foods, yogurt,
That makes
which is
sense.
weird. That was new to me. But
All
anyway,
the
yeah.
healthy food, right?
Yeah, healthy food, stuff you don't necessarily want if you're stressed. You want a big
Right.
bag of chips or ice cream big
Yeah.
old bowl of ice cream.
So
Anyway,
before we wrap it up, I just kind
yes.
of wanted to go back to stressful like work and all that. And I was able to find some jobs that are the least stressful.
Oh, good. Let's hear that.
Librarian.
I can see that.
Why not? You're
Right?
surrounded by books.
And especially if you love books,
Yeah.
right? People are coming to you asking about books. Hello, your favorite topic. It would be like if I had a job talking to people about cats,
Yes.
like, yes, pay me to talk about my favorite
Right.
thing.
So here's a surprising one. Dental hygienist.
That is surprising.
Because I feel like it would be stressful for me. Make sure that, the teeth are clean and nothing's wrong and all that. I don't know.
I can tell you, sitting in the chair, it's stressful on that
Yeah.
end.
Plus, I would be afraid that the person will try to bite me. So I feel like that would be a stressful job for me.
Yeah, that's
But
very surprising.
yeah, and another one that's kind of apparently pretty low stress job is masseuse.
Kind of makes sense, though,
But I feel
because
like,
again, you're making people happy
yeah, 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 it makes
and
sense.
you got the quiet music, Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Um,
Well, you know what? I think it would be nice to hear from our listeners. Don't forget, there is that little link that says something to the effect of join the conversation,
mhm.
something like that. Let us know if you have any good tips for stress relief,
Yes,
because we could all use some of that right now. Let us know your best advice for coping with stress.
yes, that sounds
All
good.
right. Well, in the meantime, here's to good coffee, good vibes, and great conversations.
Cheers.
Cheers.